All right, quick briefing for everyone who classifies workers as independent contractors. You're going to want to pay close attention. The Department of Labor has proposed a major rule change that could really shake up how you classify your entire workforce. Let's get right into it. So, if you're in HR, this is for you. Seriously. The rules of the game are changing. Again. And there's a deadline. The window to comment on this proposed rule is April 28th, so the clock is ticking. We're going to break down what's shifting and exactly what you need to do about it right now. To really get what's going on, you have to understand how we got here. And honestly, for the past few years, it's been a total regulatory seesaw. Okay, check out this timeline. Back in January 2021, the DOL rolled out a test that really hinged on two core factors. Simple enough. Then, in January 2024, that got swapped out for a much wider six-factor test, where everything was weighed equally. And now, well, the new proposal wants to bring us right back to that original 2021 test. We've literally come full circle. And this proposal didn't just drop out of the sky. The DOL actually telegraphed this move. Way back in May of 2025, its Wage and Hour Division kind of quietly announced it was going to stop enforcing that six-factor rule. So this new proposal is really just making that shift official. The writing's been on the wall for a bit. So, let's get into the heart of it. What are these two core factors that are about to become the center of your universe for all classification decisions? Again, here's the side-by-side. The rule that's on its way out, the 2024 rule on the left, was this totality of the circumstances thing with six equal factors. It was meant to be holistic, but man, it created a lot of uncertainty. The proposed rule brings back something called the economic reality test. It zeroes in on two core factors, and the whole point is to give businesses more clarity and a more predictable standard. Okay, core factor number one is control. This is pretty much what it sounds like. It's all about how much control the company has over how the work actually gets done. So you're asking questions like, does the worker set their own hours? Do they decide on their own methods? Can they do their job without someone looking over their shoulder every day? If you're nodding yes, that's a big point in the independent contractor column. The second core factor is the worker's opportunity for profit or loss. This really gets at their financial independence. Can they negotiate their own rates? Do they have to pay for their own business expenses? Are they investing in their own tools and equipment? You see, a true independent contractor is basically running their own business. They have the chance to make a profit, but they also take on the risk of a loss. So here's the magic formula. It's a really simple guiding principle. If both of these core factors, control and opportunity for profit or loss, if they both point in the same direction, whether that's employee or independent contractor, then that classification is very, very likely the right one. That's your North Star in this whole analysis. Okay, I need you to lean in for this next part. This might be the single most important takeaway for every single HR professional watching. And here it is, straight from the horse's mouth, a direct quote from the proposed rule. Actual practice is more relevant than what is contractually or theoretically possible. Let me say it another way. What you do every day matters a whole lot more than what your contract says. This is everything. So let's break down what this golden rule means in the real world. First, that ironclad independent contractor agreement you have, it won't protect you if what happens day to day is different. Second, and this is a common trip-up, requiring a worker to follow basic safety or legal rules is not considered control that makes them an employee. And third, your own internal practices are evidence. If you're making contractors join daily stand-ups or you're issuing them company laptops, you're basically creating the evidence that undermines your own classification. All right, enough theory. Let's see how this two-factor test actually works in practice with some real-world examples. Now, this rule change is going to touch nearly every industry that uses contract labor, but these sectors here are on the front lines. We're talking the gig economy, tech freelancers, healthcare staffing, construction, consultants, creative pros. If you're in one of these worlds, you need to be paying extra close attention. And here is a massive flashing red lights warning, especially for companies that operate in multiple states. This is a federal rule. It does not, I repeat, does not change or cancel out state-level laws, like California's famous AB 5 or the super strict tests in states like Massachusetts. You have to comply with both separately. Being okay on the federal level is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for state-level risk. Let's just walk through a few of these. A freelance designer. They control their own methods. They negotiate their own rates. That's a pretty clear checkmark for an independent contractor. But then look at a gig delivery driver. If the company is controlling their hours and routes and setting a fixed rate, Well, they fail on both core factors. That's a huge reclassification risk. And the IT consultant, that's the gray area where so many of you live. And it's where you have to look really, really closely at the day-to-day reality. All right, let's get actionable. We know what's changing. We know why it matters. Now, here is your game plan for what to do before that April 28th deadline. Here are your immediate do's and don'ts. On the do list, start documenting worker autonomy. Make sure your contracts are based on outcomes, not on hours worked. And audit all of your IC relationships right now. On the don't list, stop setting fixed hours for contractors. Stop providing them with company devices. And whatever you do, do not assume this federal change solves your state law headaches. Here's your plan, broken down into 4 simple phases. Phase 1, and do this today, brief your leadership team and loop in your legal counsel. Phase 2, your audit phase. Reevaluate every single one of your independent contractors against these 2 core factors. Phase 3 is about fixing things. Redraft contracts and train your managers on what to do and what to say. And finally, Phase 4, you monitor. Keep an eye out for when the final rule is published and keep documenting your rationale for every classification. And one final really important clarification. Remember, this is still a proposed rule. That means technically the 2024 6-factor rule is still in effect until this whole process is finalized. But let's be realistic, you should absolutely be planning for where this is headed, not where it's been. So we'll leave you with this one question to take back to your team. When you really honestly look at it, is your company's classification strategy built on the paper in your contracts, or is it built on the reality of your actual day-to-day practices? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about your risk.